Okay, so this video now then is for exercise 7b, so you should have watched 7a first. And this is about finding the nth term of a geometric sequence. Okay, so if you haven't watched the video for exercise 7a yet, you want to make sure you do watch that because that tells you what a geometric sequence is. So I'm just going to assume that you know. So, as I talked about, we've got our first term is a, our common ratio is r. Okay, so let's get a sequence in terms of just algebra, and then we can look at working out an nth term for that sequence. So if I start with a, multiply by r, my second term is going to be ar. And if I multiply by r again, I'll have ar multiplied by r. So my third term is going to be ar squared. And then my fourth term will be ar to the power 3. And so on until I get to my nth term. So let's just look at a pattern there. So my first term is a, my second term is ar, my third term is ar squared, my fourth term is ar to the power 3. Okay, so if you spot the term number and the power of r, look at the relationship between them, you should spot that our nth term is going to be ar n minus 1. Because that power is always one less than the term number. So our nth term for a geometric sequence is ar to the power n minus 1. Okay, so let's do some examples then involving nth terms and working out terms of a sequence. Okay, so in this example, I want to find the 10th and the nth terms for those two number sequences. So I've got 3, 6, 12, 24, and 4, negative 20, 10, negative 5. Okay, and the easiest way to do this is if we do the nth term first. So once we've worked out the nth term, then we can use that to work out the 10th term. Alternatively, we could look at what our common ratio is and just use our calculators until we get to the 10th term. If we want to do it that way first. But I think it's be more efficient for us to get the nth term first and then look at getting the 10th term. Okay? But don't forget, you can always fall back on that. If you want to find your 10th term, just keep generating terms until you get to the 10th one. And with your calculator, that's quite an easy thing to do. You just keep doubling those numbers. So I want to get the nth term first. This is much easier, I think, than the nth term for an arithmetic sequence. All you do is look up your common ratio. So in this case it's 2. Look up our first term. So in this case it's 3. So our nth term, in the previous slide, is just going to be ar power n minus 1. So that's going to be 3 brackets 2 to the power n minus 1. That's it. Couldn't be simpler. So now to find our 10th term, we just substitute 10 into that formula where n is. So our 10th term is going to be 3 multiplied by 2 to the power 9. 10 take away 1, which is 9. Okay, let's write that out. And then, therefore, our 10th term is going to be, just do that on your calculator, it's going to be 1,536. Simple. Okay, I think a little bit quicker to get to than if we did just keep doubling numbers on our calculator. Alright, and if you try on your calculator, if you keep multiplying 2 until you get to the 10th term, then 1,536 should be your answer. Right, so let's do the next one. So now we've got 40, negative 20, 10, and negative 5. So again, now we want to look at our common ratio is. Now, in arithmetic sequences, sometimes those differences were positive, sometimes they were negative. In geometric sequences, we always have to be multiplying by a number. So our ratio here wouldn't be divide by 2. You've got to find out what you multiply by to divide by 2. So it's going to be multiplied by a half. Alright, that's a key thing to remember. The common ratio is always what number you multiply each term by to get to the next one. So if a sequence is decreasing like this one, then you're going to be multiplying by decimals or between 0 and 1 or fractions. Alright? Again, to work it out, just do the second term divided by the first term and the third term divided by the second term. And you'll get your common ratio. So our common ratio here is negative a half. A is 40. Okay. So, like I said like we did in the first one, we're going to find our nth term first, because I think it's going to be easier. So that's just going to be 40 brackets minus a half to the power n minus 1. Okay. And then, from that, our 10th term is just going to be 40 times negative a half to the power 9. Stick that into your calculator, and then you get your answer. So our answer, therefore, our 10th term is just going to be negative 5 over 64. Okay? Simple stuff. Okay, so let's do a slightly harder example now then. So in this one we're told the second term of a geometric sequence is 4, and the fourth term is 8. And we want to find the exact values. So that exact word is quite important. So let's just underline that. That should make you think of something. We want to find the exact values of the common ratio and the 10th term. So obviously we're going to have to find the nth term as well. So let's concentrate on part A first. Okay, so we're told that the second term, so u2, is equal to 4, and we're told that the fourth term is equal to 8. Okay, so our nth term we know is our AR to the power n minus 1. So just stick that up there as a reminder. Okay, so we can create two equations basically. So the second term is going to be AR, so we know AR is equal to 4. The fourth term, remember 4 take away 1 is 3, so it'll be AR to the power 3 is equal to 8. Right, so this is a slightly more difficult simultaneous equation to solve basically. Okay, but all we're going to do, the technique or the trick to be able to solve these, is basically take the one that's got the highest power of r and divide it by the other equation. Alright, so if I do AR to the power 3 divided by AR, that's going to be equal to 8 divided by 4. So I'm just literally dividing the one equation by the other. Those A's cancel out. The R's cancel out, leaving me with an R squared at the top. And the 8 and the 4 cancel to leave me with 2. So I end up having to solve R squared is equal to 2. 2. Which then, that is going to give me R is equal to root 2. That goes back to the question where it asked us to work out the exact value. Exact values tend to be surds. Okay. Now technically, we have got plus or minus root 2. Because if I start my second term multiplied it by negative root 2, it would take me to a negative, and then negative root 2 again and take me to a positive 8. Okay. Again, if it was positive root 2, that would take me to, from second term is a positive, the third term is positive, the fourth term is positive. Okay, so technically it should be plus or minus 2, root 2, but we're just going to keep it simple, and we're just going to take our common ratio as being root 2. So that gives us then, if we stick that back into the first one, AR equals 4, that tells us A root 2 is equal to 4, so A is going to be equal to 4 over root 2. What I'm doing now is just rationalising that. Okay, so root 2 times root 2 is 2. That gives me 4 root 2 on top. So I'd have 4 root 2 over 2, which obviously simplifies down to 2 root 2, because 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, now although I haven't been asked to work out the first term, okay, if I do work out the first term, that allows me then to create my nth term. And then from my nth term, I can work out the 10th term. So my nth term is going to be A, which is 2 root 2, times R, which is root 2 to the power n minus 1. So it's quite complicated. Okay, so therefore U10, so the 10th term is going to be 2 root 2 times root 2 to the power 9. We stick that into a calculator, we get the 10th term, which is 64, and that's that finished. So common ratio was root 2, so that's why it's asked us for the exact value, so we leave that in surd form. and we've got the 10th term, u10 is equal to 64. So that's part B finished then as well. So let's finish this video with a tough looking question then. We've got the numbers 3, x and x plus 6 are forming the first three terms of a positive geometric sequence. Okay, now because it's a geometric sequence, that means that 3 times something is equal to x, and x multiplied by the same thing is equal to x plus 6. So that's going to be key to answering the question. We want to find the possible values of x and the 10th term of the sequence. So like I said then, the common ratio between these two sets of terms are going to be the same. So if we do x divided by 3 and x plus 6 divided by x, we know that should give us the same answer, because that's what makes a geometric sequence. So if we use that, we can form an equation. So x divided by 3, so second divided by the first, must be equal to x plus 6 divided by x, which is the third divided by the second. And now we just solve that simple equation now. So we cross multiply, we get x squared equals 3 brackets x plus 6. And then if we, now I'm going to expand it and take it all across the left hand side. So I'd have 3x plus 18 on the right hand side. If I was to expand that, so if I take that all across, I'll have x squared minus 3x subtract 18 is equal to 0. Okay, just move that out of the way. So if we factorize that, we're going to get 2 brackets, which is a quadratic, x and x are the first terms. So we want to find two numbers and multiply together to give me minus 18, and add together to give me the minus 3. So that's going to be positive 3 and negative 6. So therefore my answers are x equals negative 3 and x equals 6. Now the phrase in the question about getting the possible values of x is just to throw us a little bit really, because in the start of the question we are told that it forms the first three terms of a positive geometric sequence. So x can't be negative 3, because that would give us 3, negative 3, 3. Okay, so we're going to go with 6. So x is going to be equal to 6. So that would give us 3, 6, 12. So it would be a positive sequence. Okay? Do always refer back to the question before you give your final answer. So now then, to get the 10th term, we'll get our nth term first, and then use that to get our nth term, our 10th term. So a is 3, r is going to be 2. You just look at that. So our nth term is going to be 3 times brackets 2 to the power n minus 1. So therefore our 10th term is going to be 3 times 2 to the power 9. So we'll just take that into your calculator. And we get our 10th term is equal to 1,536. That's all finished. Right, now you should have watched both videos, exercise 7a and 7b. So obviously I'd like you to make a start on exercise 7a and 7b, get the easy questions out of the way, so then we can concentrate on the more challenging ones in class. Okay, good luck.